Good morning and welcome back to Margin. This morning we're going to talk about how your income scores when it comes to your financial snapshot. So let's jump right into it. So based on evaluating your core income source as well as any side hustles, let's look at your income sources in regards to the market and being able to figure out whether you need to make a change or not, whether you need to add a side hustle or an additional stream of income, or if you need to change your career field altogether. So the first column comes down to excellent. So excellent would mean that you are most likely paid well above market. Based on your analysis. So based on your experience, based on your education, based on the core competencies you have and what you bring to the table, you may be paid 25% or more above market for your position. Now, again, this isn't necessarily a reason to stay with a position or to leave a position for each of these columns, but it's important for you to know where you stand in the competitive market that you operate within. So the second component comes down to very good. If you are operating within the column of very good, you're most likely paid above market still, but it may not be as much based on your analysis. It may be to the tune of 15% or so above market. Now, when you're looking at the good column would mean that you are most likely paid at market. Now, most companies do their research and they will extend an offer letter and a benefits package based on what other companies are paying. So this is most likely where people generally fall. But I would say look at your competitive analysis for your position and be able to look at where you fall in this mix. So if you fall within that good category, this means that you're at market, that you may have additional income streams that you can add in to push you above market, but nonetheless, it's a good place to be. So if you fall under the fair column, that means that you are paid slightly below market. So there is not necessarily anything wrong with this, but you want to be able to look at your market analysis, compare yourself to others that are in that field based on credentials, based on your education and your experience, as well as the industry size and the company size that the other individual or individuals may be working in compared to you, and just look at, okay, does it make sense that I would be making below market or slightly below market for this role, depending on those different categories, those different aspects. And so you may not necessarily merit actually asking for a raise because your position is secure from automation, because you actually enjoy your position, and because it may not make a huge difference. But I would encourage you to actually do the analysis, do the evaluation, figure out if you are slightly below market, if it would make sense to ask for a raise if you are performing well within that position. So the other aspect within this fair column would be to make sure that you are not asking for a raise unless you are ready to lean in further into your position. If you are planning to leave that position, if you are planning to change industries, be mindful of this in the timing of asking for a raise. So under the poor column, you are paid well below market value. Now, the first question that comes to mind after your analysis is why? Why are you paid well below market value? Does it come down to your education level for the position? Does it come down to your experience for the position? Is it something intangible? Is it something else that you need to evaluate and improve upon? But actually looking at the why behind it. Now, that being said, you may be paid well below market just because your company cannot afford to necessarily pay you market for that position. But at that point, you just want to look at, okay, does the differential make enough sense for you to actually consider looking in a different field, in a different position, and actually looking at, okay, what does your position pay at another company? And that may merit the soul searching that it may take to figure out if it's time to move on from that position that you had been operating in. So with that, you may also want to figure out, okay, what are the set of skills that I have that I can improve upon and apply not only to this company, but also to the next position if there's not a raise in store, there's not a position for you to work towards. So with that, unfortunately, this can happen so often for employees who have tenure, who have been there a long time. They may have a cost of living increase of 1.5 or 2.5% per year that keeps up with inflation, but it doesn't necessarily propel you forward in making sure that you keep up with the industry. So I would evaluate this, and if you fall under the poor column, make sure that you know why. And then from that point, be able to not only step into looking at whether it makes sense to ask for a raise or whether it makes sense to move on. And so that being said, the last category has to do with insufficient. So the insufficient column comes down to someone who is underemployed because they have credentials that merit them being in a higher position, but there may not be a position available to them. You may be employed, but in the wrong position, meaning that you have a skill set in a certain area that you're not able to apply in the position that you're in, or you're unemployed. So you don't have a position to apply the skill set that you have. So if you fall under any of these three categories, these three components within the insufficient column, there's hope. And I have an episode coming up that will outline the importance of writing down not only what you want to do and how you want to spend your life energy, but also looking at what your actual skill set is and what you can make money doing. And so we'll be going into that. So just keep that in mind if you do fall under this column specifically. So much of building margin into your personal finances comes down to figuring out how to best build a good offense. And that may be changing roles from what you're in right now. That may be taking on a new position, changing fields, or changing industries altogether. It may come down to you spending some money to buy into a franchise. It may be you purchasing a rental property of some kind. But it's important to look at your finances from a standpoint of whether where you're at right now is actually moving you towards your goals or not. My call to action today comes down to rating yourself based on these 6 columns, figuring out from an income standpoint whether you're paid well below market or above market, and figuring out not only the component of what you're making, how much you're making, and what job you're in, but also whether it's bringing the fulfillment that you want in a career field that you're going to be spending most of your time. If this information is helpful to you, please do like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you're reminded to come back on a daily basis and improve in managing your personal finances. Thank you for your time. Enjoy your day, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.